answered my prayers. And yeah, he's really great. So.
Awesome. Hey, we're thankful that God is still speaking to us. Thankful that Deja is listening and staying here. All right, next person coming up here. You gotta turn it on there and say your name, and then you can get into it.
Hello, I'm Eli, and before I start, this is going to be an absolute shambles. It probably won't make sense in the end. But yeah, so I went to Vision. Last year I went for 3 hours, and that was it. But this year, so I had no expectations. But this year, I went in as a lazy believer, and the first song that they played was I don't know what it did, but really struck a chord in my heart, sort of. And it was really, so now this is awful. This is so bad. This is really bad. I lost my train of thought.
The first song they played struck a chord with you?
Yeah, and so now I had an expectation, and every time it just kept going up and up. Every day I started doing something that that made my, I don't know, it furthered my belief more. And so I started taking notes because I was like, wow, this is actually legit good stuff. And then I started actually raising my hands and actually worshiping. I didn't feel like I was worshiping hard enough. That's how good it was. It was great. And I don't know. It kind of it took it from here to here. I was only a believer at church, and now I'm okay, I should probably start living by this. So, yeah.
Awesome. Hey, can I encourage you? Every expectation that you have, God will exceed it. So keep those expectations, man. All right. Next up, we have...
Hi, I'm Ashlyn.
There it is.
Okay, so this was actually my first vision ever. And I didn't really want to come, but because I was invited to join part of the choir, there's a story behind why I didn't want to go, so I'll say that. So I actually went, and it was a lot of fun. So it's going to sound like two different stories, but it'll mix into one, and if I talk too much, just let me know. So ever since I was a little kid, I've had high-functioning anxiety. I have generalized and social anxiety. I also have ADHD. So I have let that become my label my whole life, my excuse to not go and do other things that I want to do, or just put myself out there. I have used it as an excuse, even though I know I'm capable of doing other things. And it really hit me last week, especially. I had one of the biggest anxiety attacks in my life regarding my future, Tuesday night actually. And then I go into a youth group on Wednesday after that whole thing went down that one day. And then I just, again, I didn't really want to go to Vision, but I just hear God at youth group saying, just wait for what's going to happen. And then I go into Vision, and then it was an incredible experience. And then towards the end of it, the whole time I was just praying, what what do you want me to do? And what do I need to let go of? That's the thing that I've been trying to figure out, what does he want me to let go of? And what it ultimately ended up being was denying my anxiety. Just like you deny your flesh, anxiety is a part of your flesh. And he told me to deny my anxiety because it's no longer a part of me. It's not my label anymore, and it's... Yeah. So another thing to go along with that, it actually regards my future, much like Deja. So I have been confused. For the past couple months, I have had this weird calling to join the military, which is completely random if you know me. But I'm going to be joining the Montana Air National Guard, and yeah. And I have been so confused why. There hasn't been any hesitation towards it, but I know it was a calling. And then, again, towards the end of Vision, the real reason I found out was because he wants me to be separated from the anxiety I have here. And not that, this town gives me anxiety. It's more of, depending on my happiness from other people, or just being surrounded by things that I should not be. So as I go down to basic training in tech school, I will pretty much be by myself without normal communication, and that was extremely hard for me to wrap my head around. But now I realize that it's not just me, it's me and God, both working together mentally, physically, and spiritually. So that was my story.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing, Ashlyn. Alrighty, moving right along. We have Ryland. Go for it, man.
Okay, so last year's vision conference that I went in with a ton of expectations and just a lot of things that I wanted to change. And this year, because nothing happened, this year I went in with no expectations, and God has just really changed me in at heart and just put stuff in my heart to change me. And he's spoken a lot through all of the messages. I've learned so much, and I'm starting to grow more, and I'm going to continue growing and experience a lot more healing of my past that I need now. And he's using the people around me to help do that. And I've just experienced a lot of more growth and more learning through Vision Conference, and it's just been awesome.
Solid. Love to hear it. We love growth. And Ryland has an incredible Be Real. If you're not friends with him, you should be. All right, next we have Kai. What's going on, Kai?
So, this has been really, really weird for me, because up until I moved here in like August, I've never actually gone to church before. I had never been Christian, so I went to Vision not knowing what to expect. I'd never done anything like this. It was, and to be totally honest, it was a spiritual awakening for me. I never connected with God in this way before. I'd never felt him speak to me. And during the times when we were singing songs and like when everyone grabbed Pastor Aaron and dragged him to the center, it really, I don't know, something happened. And I really connected with God, and he spoke to me. And he basically told me his plans for my life and how he wants me to serve him. And for a long time, I've been a very driven person. I've known what I wanted to do. And he really just put aside any of the doubts that I had and what I want to do with my life going forward. So I'm really, really appreciative of it, honestly. I have no complaints, and looking back, I'd do it again in a heartbeat, right?
Solid. We love when we have no complaints. That's incredible. Hey, how many of you guys know that not only like will God connect with you, but he desperately wants to connect with you? Like there are students just like Kai that back in August didn't know that. And one day they're going to know it because this group is plugged in with Jesus. That's awesome.
Hey.
Who is this?
I'm Emflem. Hey. Okay, so going into Vision, I was like, I don't know, it was a very busy season of life, and that's definitely an excuse, but let's just say I was not super excited. I was like stressed out, and there's a lot going on, and I just went in with kind of a bad heart, like especially towards Jesus. Like, it's like, God, you can move, but like, what if you don't? Like, it's whatever. So I was just like really frustrated. We got to, I think it was night 2? Yeah. And we all had been like in lockdown or whatever, and I ended up praying with Maddie and Ellie, and we started talking about just like our stories, and Maddie and Ellie were sharing like some of the things that happened in their life, and I was like, low-key, I'm just super frustrated because I don't feel like God's moved, and it's just annoying that like he's moving in other people's lives and not in mine, which is a really bad heart. But that's kind of where I was at. And I just started crying because I was like, I really need Jesus in my life right now. And like, I'm recognizing that, but like, he's just not doing anything. And that was really frustrating to me. And so in that moment of me sobbing in the Nazarene church, Jesus was just like, hey, you need to participate in the altar call. So I had been on worship that night, and part of being on worship team is you go back up and play for people to like experience Jesus. And sometimes I can let worship be a distraction. And so I think in that moment, Jesus was like, don't let worship distract you from what I have to say. And so he was like, you need to participate. So I like texted Kevin and Megan. I was like, hey, can I participate in altar call instead of being up on stage? And they were like, yeah, we'll figure it out. So night 2 comes, and I was just really excited. The entire way to the church, we were praying these like amazing, like radical prayers, like things that I've never dared to pray before because I just didn't trust Jesus that much. And so it was just super cool to be this excited. And it was like the first time in weeks that I had been excited for Jesus. And I thought that was super cool. So night 2 came. And I was like, all right, God, wreck me. You got this. And so Megan, it was during altar call, Megan came up and had a word for me about how I like either live in the state of like happiness or of like darkness. And I let this like cloud of like anger and frustration kind of like block how I see the world, I guess. And she said there's so much freedom when you choose to not think about other people's opinions. And she said I had been choosing the world because I was scared of letting down the people that I loved that were at the church. And I was like, dang, that's so true. So she just started praying for me and praying for freedom. And there was like 7 other people that ended up laying their hands on me, and I was just sobbing. So that was awesome. And then like right after that, Michaela came up to me, and I had been kneeling down, and she was like, hey, what's going on? And so I like told her about what Megan had said, and she was like, well, God just gave me this vision of you, or of David, when in the Bible he's like dancing naked in the streets. She was like, you're not gonna dance naked. But just undignified and not caring about other people's opinions. And I was like, that's crazy, because that's like exactly what Megan just said. And I was like, dang. So I just like went home that night, and I was like, thank you, Jesus. That's so cool. Like, I'm so content with what you just shared. And then the next day came, and they were praying for healing. And there was like 15 people that ended up praying for my back, because I have back problems. Woohoo. Shut up. Anyways. And I just like didn't really, I was like, okay, like it's whatever, God, like I don't really expect you to heal it. Like you've done enough in my life, and that's super fun. And I like went over and was just praying, and Michaela came back up to me, and she was like, hey, Nick has a word for you. So I came back, and Nick goes or says something about your back being your part of your foundation, but it's not like all of your foundation. And in order for your back to be strengthened, or my relationship with Jesus to be strengthened, I needed to have a good foundation. And he kind of gave me this picture of like concrete. When like water gets in it, it like cracks and like disforms, maybe. And so he was just like, when the world or water gets in your concrete foundation, it'll start to crack. And this foundation that I've had since I was a little girl, like growing up in the church, is like has been cracked because of the world and letting that get in. And yeah. And he was like, I truly believe God told me, like, when your foundation is rebuilt and built on him and like firm, your back will be healed with it. I was like, it is insane. And Michaela says this. She goes, girl, if you don't realize, you just got 3 words that are back to back, like instruction. And like, she goes, Jesus wants you on his team. And it was just like crazy for me to experience not 1, not 2, but 3 different people coming up and like pouring out into me through Jesus. And so, yeah, Jesus speaks, and it's pretty cool. But, ta-da.
That's awesome. Jesus wants you on his team. It's true for everybody in this room. All right, who do we have here?
Hi, I'm Libby.
Okay, real quick, and before Libby starts, Cody is going to be our last testimony. Oh, never mind. Elisa will be our last testimony. All right? But then we're going to go to small groups, and we're going to let you guys share in small groups if you guys didn't get a chance to share up here. All right, take it away, Libby.
Okay, so identity has kind of been a big struggle for me lately, like for a while. And fitting in is something that I really struggle with. Like, I need to be a part of this group because they're the ones everyone sees and like likes. And like, I just need to fit in with them. And at Vision, God told me, like, I don't want you to be the one to fit in with the group. I want you to be the one who reaches out to the people who, like, don't have anyone. And even though that's hard, like, I need you to do that. And once you step into who you are, like, in your identity in me, instead of changing yourself to fit in with the group, like, I'll I'll use you to bring other people to church, and like I'll use your difference. Like people will notice when you're being different, when you're saying no to the worldly things. Like people are gonna be like, oh, well, that was kind of crazy. But people are gonna see that and they're gonna want that. And if you are who you are, like, don't change that to be a part of the people who are seen. Like, be who you are and reach out to the people who need people, because they're not going to get that from many other people. And once you step out into who you are, like, other people are going to feel safer being themselves around you. And I don't know. It's just, like, be yourself.
Nice. That's incredible. Give it up for Libby. Alrighty.
Okay. So my name's Maddie. I've never really done this before, so I'm very nervous. But so I went into Vision thinking like, okay, God, my heart's open to you. You can move, like, do whatever you need to. And at school, I'm not a very open person, I guess. I'm kind of sheltered, and I kind of have this little wall around me. And so I walked into Vision, and it was, like, very fun for the first night. And then day 2 came, and I was like, okay, God, now I'm getting serious. Like, I want you to talk to me. And so it was the night of day 2, and God was like, okay, Maddie, this is what I need you to do. This is what I want you to do right now. I want you to start being more open at your schools, and I want you to share my word at your schools. And I was like, whoa, I don't know if I can do that. I was almost hesitant to believe that that was him, but I knew it was, because I was like, okay, I don't think I would ever challenge myself to do that. And so I was like, okay, I'll trust you. Let me just try it. And so the last couple days of school, I've been trying to focus on being more open and making myself more visible so that I will make a greater impact with God's word. And then he was like, no, don't do that. Like, that's not what I want you to do. That's wrong. You're doing it wrong. And so then I was like, okay, let me try staying the way I am, but just trying to share your word. And so I've been doing that for the past 2 days, I think, and it's been working, and God's like, yes, this is what I want you to do, and you need to continue to do this. So that's it.
That's awesome. Simple obedience is so stinking good. All right.
Hi, I'm Brayden. Anyways, so like I got to explain the beginning of the story before I get to where I walked in with the expectation of what I was thinking about. Anyways, so like I've always like I guess struggled with like my past of like what happened. So like when I was born, my parents abandoned me, left me, my brother, and so then like my adopted parents always told me it wasn't your fault. Like they always showed me that they were my actual parents. So as I got older, I started realizing like what really happened. So I kind of let that like I guess like it was like a snowball. I just kept on thinking about it. And so then I was always a shy person. I didn't let anybody I didn't have a lot of friends just because like I didn't want to get hurt again, I guess. So I was extremely shy. So then we moved here because I used to live in California, and we moved here. And then we went to a few other churches, and then we went here for youth. So then I met some people, and then this year I decided, okay, I'm going to work at the country club because like I didn't want to be a shy person anymore. And the country club was like the way to go because you're always having to talk to people no matter what. And so then I forced myself to do that. And so then I did that. And so then it opened me up a lot more. And so then as I worked there, I broke my wrist there. So I was like, oh, I just like broke my wrist. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. And so then they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna have a surgery tomorrow at 10. And so then I was like, okay. And so then I was like, okay, I've already had a surgery before. This is just gonna be like the same process. But it wasn't. It was nothing of what I expected. Because before that, I was already having like a bunch of bad relationships with my family. Because like my family was just like falling apart. We were all fighting and nobody wanted to come over because that sibling was there. And that one was fighting. I was fighting with the other one. And so then it was just like I was already like in pain. And so then when I had to get my surgery, everybody was asleep. And usually when we get a surgery, when someone else, we all come upstairs and pray with each other. But nobody did that. We didn't even do that for me. And so then we went into surgery, and it was just me and my parents. And so then I went in. So I was already feeling like down or whatever. And then my biggest fear was having to be put asleep, of being always afraid of not waking up, I guess. And so then I had to do that, which eventually it wasn't scary because it was just like falling asleep. I didn't really care. Afterwards, now like if I get like a surgery, I'm not gonna care at all. So yeah, so then I did that. And so then after that, I just fell in like a deeper depression, but I hid it away from everybody, I guess. And so then after that, vision came, and then my parents were like, you're going. It's not your decision, you're going. And so then I was like, okay, I'll go. My friends are going. So then I was like, I'll go. And so then after that, God just kept on speaking to me, but I kept pushing it away because like I was like, you aren't doing anything. I'm not going to do it anyways. And so then he was like, you know what? You should talk to some leaders. And so then I did, and I got encouragement. And I got told that I should go to Vision. So I was walking into Vision just like, okay, I don't know what you're going to do, but I'll just go. And so then the first night I went, and it was like the service was like really talking to me. He was talking to me about like, you're not alone, even if you think you are. And that you're not alone if you think you are. And that your past, that what people did to you, doesn't make who you are now. And then the second night, he said the same thing. So then that night, I was like, okay, I'm going to give my life to you.
Yeah, come on, that's awesome. It's incredible.
Hello, I'm Israel. I feel like when I go to like Vision or camp, I never really expect. I just like don't think of what God's gonna do for me. I expect that He's gonna move because He does every time. But like, and I guess it was the same this year. But I expected Him to move kind of like in the later nights because He always does. And then I thought like the first night, I guess worship was really powerful, and I just thought like, what if God moves right now? And then I feel like when I thought that, God just like started moving in my heart and just moving in my life. And I feel like throughout the whole Vision, He was just constantly moving in my life, even the smallest things. And I feel like I really just got encouraged to reach out to more kids and just got more ideas of how to help kids through what they're struggling with, I guess, and just be a better influence. And also, I got encouraged to like pray more and fast more. And Paxton has been helping me with that, challenging me and a few other kids to pray for kids at school. And yeah, I guess that's it.
Awesome. Love it.
Okay, so
Introduce yourself.
yeah, I'm
Have
Cody.
some manners.
I am. Yeah, so I'm Cody, and okay, and so I guess like I really wasn't like I guess I wasn't gonna go to Vision. Well, I knew I was, but I wasn't really like wanting to. I guess I don't know why, but I just so my mom signed me up, and I went to Vision, and just the first night it was pretty good. I liked the worship a lot, and then I was just sitting there thinking like, oh well, what is God gonna do in my life? Like, what's gonna happen? And I was just sitting there, like, through the message, thinking about how I haven't been, like, really following God lately. And I've just kind of been, like, drifting away, I guess. And then I was just thinking about all that. And then I felt like God was telling me to get back on track with him and then, like, follow him more. And then I also felt like on the last night, he just, well, not last night, but, like, last day, he was saying, you just need to bring more people to me, too, and after you get back on track. And so I guess I just need to bring more people to him. So.
Awesome. It's incredible, Cody. All righty, last but not least, do you want to hit the gritty?
No.
Maybe afterwards?
No.
Oh, okay. Hey, while Elisa is talking, why don't I have the worship team come back on up here quietly and come on the sides? And Elisa, you can go ahead and start.
This vision was, it's probably my last vision before I leave for college. This is my first year of college, and then next year I'm going out of state. And so I was just kind of emotional in that aspect of just like, God, like, this is the last time I'm, like, doing vision, doing worship with, like, my family, and, like, I'm just kind of emotional about that. And so I didn't really know what to expect. I kind of was just like, okay, God, use me how you're going to use me. And the first night was awesome. Loved it. Loved Jesus. I cried a lot. The second day, I got a word from Miranda about grace, and that God has just placed a grace of leadership on my life, of worship, and, like, no matter what church I'm in, like, God's going to use that. And so that kind of gave me a peace of mind. And then the second night was really what was crazy, what God did. After worship, a group of, like, of us on the worship team and a few others that we were really close with decided to pray for healing. And if you don't really know me that well, I'm the type of person that puts other needs before my own. Like, my stuff doesn't matter, but other people's does. And so I was just willing to pray for whoever in that group needed healing. And, like, I was born without, with a scar on my retina on my right eye, so I can't really see out of that eye, and then being fully deaf out of this ear. And throughout my whole life, like, I've just become adapted to that. It never really changed. I sometimes literally forget about it. And when everyone was praying for the other people in the circle for healing, I was like, God, like, you move in them. And my mindset was like, why would God heal me when there's so many other people that need him? And it was like almost the end, and I didn't go in the circle, and then all my friends were like, you're going in the circle, and I was like, I don't need to, and they were like, we don't care, you're going in the circle. And I was like, okay, I guess. And so I go in the circle, and they just start praying over me, and I'm like sobbing, tears, ugly crying, Jesus is moving, and the first time nothing happens. And someone in the circle, actually it was Josiah, was like, we are not stopping until something happens. Like, we are going to continue praying. So then all of us start praying again. Again, I'm sobbing, crying, ugly crying. And then Isabel was just like, I feel God telling me that you need to declare it. And when I was just declaring healing over myself while everyone was praying for me, like, that's when I felt God, like, really move. And so we go to wash out my eyes. Again, it was Josiah's idea to wash out my eyes. So I take out my contacts. I'm washing out my eyes in the sink, putting water on my face. And then nothing happens. And I still have my contacts out, and I, like, can't see anything. But then they were like, let's test out your hearing. And I was like, okay. And so I plugged my left ear fully, and I couldn't hear anything. And then Emily Fleming comes in, and she says, hey, buddy, what's up, in my right ear. But I could hear it. The first time in my life I've been able to hear out of this ear. And I'm still in awe. I'm still in awe. I still feel like I'm in a fever dream. Like, it doesn't feel real. But, like, God has just moved in a miraculous way. We all started, like, jumping for joy. We all were, like, crying. We were like, oh my goodness. And I'm just in shock that God did that. and it's just like a new part of my testimony now. And it's like once where there was 0 hearing, where doctors were like, we don't know what happened, it's never going to get better. Like God was able to perform a miracle and defeat the odds of the world. And so now I'm able to put AirPod in this ear and fully listen to worship music and hear it.
Can you hand that to Abby or Ellie? Hey, that's incredible. I think it's hilarious that the first thing you heard out of your other ear is Emily Fleming saying, "Hey, buddy." Can I get a couple of young dudes to come grab this table and chairs? Oh, man. Hey, thanks, guys. Hey, God is absolutely incredible. What he did at Vision Conference is amazing. Actually, can I have you guys come to the front? Yeah, right now. We're going to worship again. Just one song. We're going to go nuts. But I wanted to tell you guys this. Jesus is incredible, and what he did at Vision Conference is awesome. But Jesus doesn't move just at events. He moves in our hearts daily. And so, before we get started with this, man, y'all are rowdy already. Before we get started with this, we're going to thank God. We're going to thank God for what he did at Vision Conference, but we're also going to thank God for what he's going to do in the future. So before we get started, can you guys just say this? God's not done. No. You didn't say it like you believed it. Say, God's not done. I think we need to do it one more time. But hey, before we say this, I want you to say, God's not done, but with your high school or your junior high in mind. So we're going to say God's not done one more time, but I want you to think of every friend that you have, every family member you have, every teacher you have that could possibly need to know the love and the grace of Jesus. So one more time, let's say this. God's not done. God's not done. All right, let's worship him.
Wandering into the night, wanting a place to hide this weary soul, this bag of bones. And I try with all my might, but I just can't win the fight. I'm slowly drifting, a vagabond. Just when I ran out of room, I met a man I didn't know, and he told me that I was not alone. Picked me up, turned me around, placed my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because you healed my heart, changed my name, forever free. I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God. Hey, 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 hey. I cannot deny what I've seen. I got no choice but to believe. My doubts are burning like ashes in the wind. So long to my old friends, burden and bitterness, you can't just keep it moving.
No, you ain't welcome here. You need to leave.
From now till I walk the streets of gold, I'll sing of how you saved my soul. This wayward son has found his way back home. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because you healed my heart, you changed my name, forever free. I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God. Hey, 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 hey. I lost another one, I am free, oh, I am free. I lost another one, I am free. Oh, another one. I am free. I am free. I am free. Have lost another one. I am free. I am free. I am free.
Come on, sing it out if you believe it.
Have lost another one. I am free. I am free. Oh, I am free. Have lost another one. I am free. I am free. Because you picked me up, turned me around, placed my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master. I thank the Savior. Because you healed my heart. You changed my name. Forever free. I'm not the same. I thank the Master. I thank the Savior. I
Get up, get up, get up. Get
up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up. Get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up. Get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up. Get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up. Get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up. Get up. You turned me around, placed my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because you healed my heart, you changed my name, forever free. I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God.
Hey, 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 hey.
Alrighty, hey. Yeah, give it up for Jesus one more time. Alright, can we get those house lights up? Thank you. Hey, we're gonna go spend 10 minutes in small groups. Here's what I would encourage you to do. If you didn't get a chance to share your testimony, share it in small group. That's a perfect place to do that. We just want to pray for you guys and send you off into the rest of your week. So let's go to small groups.